How's that again? Presents. How the coronavirus spread in the US, Part 2, March 8, 2020, Wilton, Connecticut. On March 8, the first confirmed case in the state was reported in the town of Wilton. The patient is between the ages of 40 and 50 and is believed to have contracted the virus during a trip to California. March 9, 2020, Orleans Parish, Louisiana. On March 9, the state's first presumptive case of coronavirus was reported in the New Orleans metro region. The patient is a veteran and resident non-traveler of Jefferson Parish. March 10, 2020, Wayne and Oakland counties, Michigan. The state's first two cases were confirmed, one each in Wayne and Oakland counties. The Wayne County resident had a history of domestic travel while the Oakland County resident had a recent history of international travel. Edo, Charles Mix, Davison, and Minnehaha counties, South Dakota. On March 10, Governor Kristi Noem's office announced the first 4 cases and 1 death. All patients had recently traveled domestically. March 11, 2020, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. On March 11, Governor Asa Hutchinson confirmed the state's first presumptive positive coronavirus out-of-state travel-related case in Pine Bluff, Newcastle County, Delaware. On March 11, the Delaware Division of Public Health announced its first presumptive positive case of coronavirus in Delaware. The positive case involved a man over the age of 50 in Newcastle County who was associated with the University of Delaware. He had been exposed to another confirmed case of COVID-19 in another state, Socorro County, New Mexico. On March 11th, the initial 3 cases of COVID-19 in New Mexico were reported on by the New Mexico Department of Health. They included a couple in their 60s in Socorro County with a travel history to Egypt and a woman in her 70s in Bernalillo County with a travel history to the New York City area. The same day, an additional case was announced. A Santa Fe County woman in her 60s, also with a New York City area travel history. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham and the Department of Health cautioned against large gatherings and non-essential travel outside of New Mexico. As a result of the cases, Lujan Grisham signed Executive Order 2020-004, declaring a statewide public health emergency. Ward County, North Dakota. On March 11th, the state's first case was confirmed in Ward County. A man in his 60s, he had traveled to the East Coast. Sheridan County, Wyoming. The first reported case of COVID-19 on March 11, 2020 is a woman in Sheridan County who had recently traveled domestically. March 12, 2020, Androscoggin County, Maine. On March 12, Maine Governor Janet Mills announced the state's first confirmed case of the coronavirus, a woman in her 50s in Androscoggin County. She had just returned from Italy. The woman is quarantined inside her home. Forest County, Mississippi. The Mississippi State Department of Health, MSDH, confirmed their first case in the state on March 12, 2020. The individual is from Forest County, who had recently traveled to the state of Florida. March 13, 2020, Montgomery County, Alabama. A civilian employee on Maxwell Air Force Base fell ill with the first case of COVID-19 in Alabama after traveling from Illinois. Ada County, Idaho. The first case of COVID-19 in Idaho was confirmed on March 13, 2020, when a Boise woman tested positive. She recently had attended a conference in New York City where officials confirmed that 3 other attendees previously tested positive with the coronavirus infection. Gallatin County, Montana. On March 13th, Governor Bullock announced the first 4 cases of coronavirus that were within the state of Montana. The patients included a Gallatin County man in his 40s who traveled internationally, a Yellowstone County woman in her 50s who traveled internationally, a Silver Bow County man in his 50s who traveled to Washington, and a Broadwater County man in his 50s who also traveled to Washington. San Juan, Puerto Rico. The first cases of COVID-19 in Puerto Rico were reported on March 13th. They consisted of 2 Italian tourists and a 71-year-old cancer patient. It resulted, among other government actions, on the island's government declaring a curfew on March 15th. St. Croix, U.S., Virgin Islands. On March 13th, the first case in the territory was confirmed. The case is a resident with some recent international travel history. March 15th, 2020. Guam. On March 15th, the first 3 cases of COVID-19 in the territory were confirmed. 2 from Manila were related. The third had no travel history. March 17, 2020. Shepherdstown, West Virginia. The U.S. state of West Virginia reported its first case of COVID-19 on March 17, 2020, becoming the last state in the United States to do so, although the case had been showing symptoms for several days before then. The case is domestic travel within an extremely limited area. March 28, 2020. Saipan, Northern Mariana Islands. On 28 March, the islands confirmed their first 2 non-travel COVID-19 cases. American Samoa. So far, American Samoa remains one of the few places on Earth as of yet that has no known cases of COVID-19, but with no way to test, it's hard to be sure. This ends part 2.